Hello everyone, and welcome back to History Reborn AI. Today's video is about a journey into the legendary American Old West, where we'll meet 20 extraordinary people who shaped one of the most iconic eras in history. These are the lawmen and outlaws, the warriors and pioneers, the sharpshooters and storytellers whose courage, cunning, and determination forged the frontier. For generations, we've known them only through history books, grainy photographs, and weathered portraits frozen in time. But today, using the power of artificial intelligence, we're going to bring them back to life. You'll see these legendary figures as you've never seen them before, watching them breathe, move, and come alive from those old photographs. Welcome to a journey across time. Billy the Kid, 1859 to 1881. Born Henry McCarty in New York City, he moved west with his mother, who died when he was young, leaving him orphaned. Taking the name William Bonney, he became involved in cattle rustling and gained his first murder charge at age 18. He became deeply involved in New Mexico's Lincoln County War, fighting for the Regulators faction. Despite his youth, he became the Southwest's most wanted outlaw, known for his charming personality and ability to escape captivity. He reportedly killed 8 men before turning 21. Newspapers sensationalized his exploits, making him simultaneously feared and celebrated. Sheriff Pat Garrett, once Billy's friend, was hired to end his career. After an intense manhunt, Garrett tracked Billy to Fort Sumner and shot him in the dark at age 21. His youth and tragic early death created a romantic outlaw legend. Wyatt Earp, 1848 to 1929. Born in Illinois, Earp became one of the Old West's most legendary lawmen, though his early life included farming and buffalo hunting. He served as deputy marshal in the wild cattle towns of Dodge City and Tombstone, Arizona, where he earned his reputation for fearlessness. His fame stems primarily from the 1881 gunfight at the OK Corral, where he and his brothers, along with Doc Holliday, fought the Clanton-McClory gang. This 30-second shootout became the most famous gunfight in Western history, though only 3 men died. After his brother Morgan was murdered, Earp led a vendetta ride, killing several suspects. He spent his later years in California, working as a consultant for early Western films and living long enough to see himself become a legend. Earp shaped the mythology of the righteous frontier lawman standing against chaos. Pat Garrett, 1850 to 1908. Garrett drifted through various occupations, including buffalo hunter and cowboy, before settling in New Mexico territory. He became sheriff of Lincoln County in 1880, specifically tasked with ending Billy the Kid's criminal career. Ironically, Garrett and Billy had been friends and gambling partners. He tracked Billy relentlessly, finally cornering and killing him in 1881 at Fort Sumner, ending the young outlaw's reign. This single act made Garrett a celebrated lawman overnight, and he wrote a biography of Billy. However, he struggled financially afterward despite his fame, working as a Texas Ranger and customs collector, but never escaping Billy's shadow or achieving lasting success. Garrett was himself shot and killed under mysterious circumstances in New Mexico, with the murder never fully solved. He represents the complex, often troubled relationships between lawmen and outlaws, and how one moment could define an entire life. Calamity Jane, 1852 to 1903. Born Martha Jane Canary in Missouri, she moved west with her family and was orphaned young, forcing her into self-reliance. She became a frontierswoman, scout, and legendary storyteller known for elaborate tales. She claimed to have worked as a Pony Express rider and Army scout during Indian campaigns, though many of her tales were likely exaggerated or fabricated. She befriended Wild Bill Hickok in Deadwood and claimed a romantic relationship, though evidence is scant. Known for her sharpshooting skills, hard drinking, rough language, and wearing men's clothing, she defied Victorian expectations. She performed briefly in Buffalo Bill's Wild West show and dime museums, capitalizing on her fame. Jane died impoverished in South Dakota. She embodied the unconventional, independent frontier woman and challenged gender norms of her era, becoming a symbol of female freedom in the West. Jesse James, 1847 to 1882. A Confederate guerrilla under Bloody Bill Anderson during the Civil War, James experienced brutal warfare that shaped his violent future. After the war, unable to receive amnesty, he turned to crime, forming the James Younger Gang with his brother Frank. From 1866 to 1876, they robbed banks, trains, and stagecoaches across the Midwest, pioneering daylight bank robbery and becoming America's most notorious outlaws. James was portrayed by sympathetic newspapers as a Robin Hood figure fighting against northern banks and railroads, though he kept the stolen money. The gang's reign ended after a disastrous Northfield, Minnesota raid. Living under an alias in Missouri, James was shot in the back by gang member Robert Ford for reward money while hanging a picture. His legend transformed the outlaw into an American folk hero, inspiring countless books and films. Doc Holliday, 1851 to 1887. Born into a wealthy Georgia family, John Henry Holliday became a dentist in Pennsylvania before tuberculosis forced him west, seeking a drier climate to extend his life. Unable to maintain a dental practice due to his persistent cough, he became a professional gambler and developed a reputation as a deadly gunfighter, though he preferred cards to violence. He befriended Wyatt Earp in Texas, forming a loyal partnership. Holliday fought alongside Earp at the famous OK Corral gunfight, and during the subsequent Vendetta ride, proving his courage despite his deteriorating health. Despite his fearsome reputation and volcanic temper when drinking, historians believe he likely killed fewer than 3 men in his entire life. Holliday became the archetype of the educated, sophisticated, Southern gentleman turned gunfighter, representing the tragic figure destroyed by disease and circumstance. Geronimo, 1829 to 1909. A Bedonkohe Apache leader born in present-day Arizona, Geronimo's life changed forever when Mexican soldiers killed his mother, wife, and 3 children in 1858. Consumed by grief and rage, he led relentless resistance against both Mexican and American expansion for nearly 3 decades. His tactical brilliance and knowledge of the desert terrain made him nearly impossible to catch. He surrendered multiple times only to escape again when conditions became unbearable. His final surrender in 1886 to General Nelson Miles marked the end of the Indian Wars and the last significant Native American armed resistance. He spent his final 23 years as a prisoner of war, moved between Florida, Alabama, and finally Oklahoma, never allowed to return to his homeland. Geronimo represents the last stand of Native American freedom and the warrior spirit that refused to be broken. Sundance Kid, 1867 to 1908. Born Harry Alonzo Longabaugh in Pennsylvania, he headed west as a teenager seeking adventure. He took his famous nickname from Sundance, Wyoming, where he served 18 months in jail for horse theft, his first major crime. After his release, he joined Butch Cassidy's Wild Bunch, quickly becoming the gang's best gunman and most trusted partner. With Cassidy, he robbed trains and banks across Wyoming, Montana, and neighboring states, often escaping dramatic pursuits. They reportedly died in a spectacular shootout with Bolivian soldiers in 1908, though some historians and family members claimed they survived and returned to the United States. Sitting Bull, 1831 to 1890, a Hunkpapa Lakota. Holy man and chief, Sitting Bull united Sioux tribes against U.S. expansion. He led warriors at the 1876 Battle of Little Bighorn, where they annihilated Custer's forces. After fleeing to Canada, he returned and was imprisoned. He briefly toured with Buffalo Bill's show. Sitting Bull opposed the ghost dance suppression and was killed by Indian Agency police during his arrest. He symbolizes Native American resistance and dignity. Butch Cassidy, 1866 to 1908. Born Robert Leroy Parker to Mormon parents in Utah, he adopted the name Butch Cassidy from a mentor cattle rustler. He formed and led the Wild Bunch Gang, recruiting skilled outlaws, including the Sundance Kid, and established hideouts like the Hole in the Wall in Wyoming. From the 1890s to 1901, they executed sophisticated train and bank robberies across the American West, stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars. Known for meticulous planning, innovative techniques like dynamiting safes, and a strict code against killing when possible, Cassidy became a criminal mastermind. Cassidy became the archetype of the gentlemanly, intelligent outlaw, charming, strategic, and reluctantly violent. Bass Reeves, 1838 to 1910. Born into slavery in Arkansas, Reeves escaped during the Civil War, reportedly after beating his enslaver during a dispute, and lived with Creek and Seminole tribes in Indian Territory, learning their languages and customs. After emancipation, he became a successful farmer and rancher. In 1875, when Judge Isaac Parker needed deputies to bring law to lawless Indian Territory, Reeves became one of the first black deputy U.S. Marshals west of the Mississippi. Over an extraordinary 32-year career, he arrested over 3,000 criminals, killed 14 men in self-defense, and was never wounded despite countless gunfights. He once arrested his own son for murder, demonstrating his commitment to justice above personal loyalty. When Oklahoma achieved statehood and his federal position ended, he became a city policeman in Muskogee. Reeves proved that black lawmen could not only survive, but excel in the dangerous frontier, though history largely forgot him until recently. Crazy Horse circa 1840 to 1877. An Oglala Lakota warrior, born during a time of increasing American pressure on tribal lands, Crazy Horse refused to sign treaties, have his photograph taken, or live on reservations, staying committed to traditional Lakota ways. He played a crucial role in the Fetterman fight in 1866, where 81 soldiers were killed, and was a key leader at the Battle of Little Bighorn, where his tactical genius helped overwhelm Custer. He fought tirelessly to preserve traditional Lakota life against American expansion, leading raids and battles throughout the northern plains. During a scuffle at the fort, he was bayoneted by a soldier and died that night, allegedly saying, "Tell the people it is no use to depend on me anymore now." No verified photograph exists, preserving his mystique. Crazy Horse embodies uncompromising resistance to colonization and remains a powerful symbol of Native American. Buffalo Bill Cody, 1846 to 1917. Born in Iowa, William Frederick Cody lived an adventurous early life as a Pony Express rider at age 14, a Union scout during the Civil War, and earned his famous nickname supplying Kansas Pacific Railroad workers with buffalo meat, claiming to have killed 4,280 buffalo in 18 months. He served as an Army scout during the Indian Wars and won the Medal of Honor. In 1883, he created Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, a spectacular entertainment featuring sharpshooting exhibitions by Annie Oakley, reenactments of Custer's Last Stand, and real Native Americans, including Sitting Bull. His show romanticized and commercialized the frontier, shaping global perceptions of the American West. Cody turned Western history into mass entertainment, creating the cowboy mythology that persists today in film and popular culture. Chief Joseph, 1840 to 1904. Born Hinmutu Yalatlat to the Nez Perce tribe in Oregon's Wallowa Valley, Joseph became chief after his father's death. When the U.S. government ordered the Nez Perce to a small Idaho reservation, war became inevitable after young warriors killed settlers. In 1877, he helped lead his people on an extraordinary 1,170-mile fighting retreat toward Canada. Over nearly 4 months, approximately 800 Nez Perce outmaneuvered multiple U.S. Army columns, winning several battles. Just 40 miles from the Canadian border, exhaustion forced surrender. His famous speech, "From where the sun now stands, I will fight no more forever," moved the nation. Though promised return to their homeland, his people were exiled to Oklahoma, where many died. Joseph spent his remaining years advocating for his people's rights, meeting with presidents, but never returned home. Kit Carson, 1809 to 1868. Born in Kentucky, Christopher Kit Carson became a mountain man and trapper at age 16, learning survival skills and native languages while trading throughout the Rockies. He guided John C. Fremont's famous expeditions mapping the West, gaining national fame through Fremont's romanticized reports. He fought in the Mexican-American War and during the Civil War led Union forces in New Mexico. His most controversial role came in 1863 to 1864, when he led brutal campaigns against the Navajo, destroying their crops and homes, forcing the tragic long walk to Bosque Redondo, where thousands died. While celebrated as a frontier hero in dime novels, which he couldn't read due to illiteracy, his role in Native American displacement was devastating. Carson represents both the adventurous spirit of Western exploration and its violent consequences for indigenous peoples, embodying the moral complexity of westward expansion. Chief Red Cloud, 1822 to 1909. An Oglala Lakota leader, Red Cloud became one of the most successful Native American military commanders in history. From 1866 to 1868, he led a coalition of Lakota, Cheyenne, and Arapaho warriors in Red Cloud's war against U.S. Army expansion along the Bozeman Trail. His forces repeatedly attacked Fort Phil Kearny, culminating in the Fetterman Massacre, where 81 soldiers were killed. This was the only war the U.S. government clearly lost to Native Americans, forcing them to sign the 1868 Fort Laramie Treaty. Red Cloud then transitioned to diplomacy, traveling to Washington to negotiate for his people. He remained a powerful political leader on the Pine Ridge Reservation for decades, advocating for his people's rights. He died at age 87, one of the few Native leaders to die peacefully. Red Cloud represents the warrior who achieved military victory and then became a statesman, fighting with both weapons and words. Stagecoach Mary, 1832 to 1914. Born into slavery as Mary Fields, she gained freedom after the Civil War and worked at an Ursuline convent. When a friend fell ill in Montana, Mary traveled west to care for her, eventually working at the mission school. Known for her imposing 6-foot frame, strength, and unconventional habits like cigar smoking and carrying weapons, she clashed with some nuns. At approximately 60 years old, she won a U.S. Postal Service contract in 1895, becoming the second woman and first African-American woman to work for the service, delivering mail by stagecoach in Montana. Despite blizzards and brutal winters, she never missed a delivery, sometimes walking miles through snow. After retiring, she ran a laundry and restaurant in Cascade. Mary Fields challenged both racial and gender barriers simultaneously, embodying the freedom some found in the frontier West. Wild Bill Hickok, 1837 to 1876. Born James Butler Hickok in Illinois, he became a Union scout during the Civil War, beginning his reputation for courage. After the war, he served as a lawman in violent frontier towns, including Abilene, Kansas, where his quick draw and willingness to use deadly force became legendary. He claimed to have killed dozens, though historians verify far fewer. His 1865 showdown with Davis Tutt is considered the first true Wild West quick-draw duel. While playing poker, he was shot in the back of the head by Jack McCall. Hickok died instantly, holding aces and eights, forever after known as the Dead Man's Hand. His death at 39 cemented his legend. Hickok personified the skilled, dangerous gunfighter who lived and died by the gun. Jim Bridger, 1804 to 1881. Born in Virginia, Bridger headed west at age 18, joining a fur trapping expedition that would produce many legendary mountain men. He became one of the greatest trappers, guides, and explorers of the American West. He was among the first white men to see the Great Salt Lake in 1824 and explored the Yellowstone region, though his tales of geysers were dismissed as lies until verified. In 1843, he established Fort Bridger in Wyoming, which became a vital supply point on the Oregon, California, and Mormon trails. He served as a guide for Army expeditions, railroad surveys, and emigrant trains, with geographical knowledge so comprehensive he could draw detailed maps from memory. Annie Oakley, 1860 to 1926. Born Phoebe Ann Mosey in rural Ohio, she learned to hunt at age 8 to support her impoverished family after her father's death. At 15, she entered a shooting competition against professional marksman Frank Butler and defeated him. They later married and became partners. From 1885 to 1902, she starred as the main attraction in Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, performing incredible feats like shooting cigarettes from her husband's lips, hitting dimes tossed in the air, and shooting while riding horses. Standing just 5 feet tall, she challenged assumptions about women's capabilities. Beyond entertainment, she advocated passionately for women learning self-defense and taught thousands of women to shoot. Oakley proved women could excel in traditionally male domains and became one of America's first female superstars, paving the way for future generations. Thank you so much for watching this journey through the Wild West. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to History Reborn AI so you don't miss our next adventures through time. See you in the next video.